Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Brutus Monroe video. And before we get into what we're making, let's talk about what we're using. I'm going to be using this awesome road trip stamp set. And then we're going to be using this word from the Love You Floral. I want that word stamp. This is a beautiful stamp set. We're also going to be using the Tread stencil. It just worked perfectly with our road trip stamp. I also have some charcoal Glitterstock along with some sidewalk cardstock and some whitewash cardstock. I'm going to start with that sidewalk cardstock, and I'm going to take some Pixie Spray, take that outside, spray it on the back of my Tread stencil, and then we're going to lightly tack that down to our sidewalk cardstock. I want to make sure that stays put because I want to do a little bit more to this background, so I'm using some purple tape on the back. I've grabbed some Hickory Smoke Distress Ink. This is the regular Distress Ink, and I'm lightly sponging it through that stencil. We are going to do some stamping through the stencil. That was our challenge this week. And so I searched through my stamps and found the one I thought would look cool. And it's just a neat way to make a background. And you know I'm all about backgrounds. So I'm going to take that phrase or that word stamp that came in the, or one of them that came in the Love You Floral stamp set. I'm going to ink this up with my Distress Oxide Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide. And then I'm just going to stamp down using a stamp block through that stencil. And it looks pretty cool right now, you know, obviously because it's stamping right onto the stencil as well. It looks like it's doing a pretty good job, but the magic comes when you pull the stamp or the stencil away. So right now it just looks like we've got this cohesive bit, and it looks nice, it looks good, but we're going to keep stamping. We're going to go all the way down. We're staggering. And there's some open areas, which is okay with me. I don't mind because it's just going to be the background. And now we're going to pull that stencil away and we're going to see how cool that background actually looks. So you can't really make out any of the words, but I think it looks neat. I'm going to take my whitewash cardstock. I'm going to put this into my Misti, and I'm grabbing the big travel trailer from the road trip stamp set, and I'm going to ink that up with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. I'm going to do some colored pencil coloring. And I actually like the way it looks on the whitewash cardstock. So the whitewash cardstock is not like a super smooth cardstock. And so it will, I don't know, it just looks different than when you use it on a smooth cardstock. I like the whitewash cardstock for a couple of reasons. It has this like almost like a handmade paper feel to it when you look at it. And so it's quickly becoming one of my favorite cardstocks out there. I stamped out my sentiment as well, and then we're going to pull that out and we're going to start doing our coloring. I'm using my Arteza Expert Colored Pencils, and I'm just putting down a light bit of the black around the tire, and then I'm going to grab a blending stump along with some Gamsol. I recently did this in a previous video on my channel, and so all I'm doing is putting down my colored pencil, and then I'm going to come in with some Gamsol. But for this first one, we're going to go ahead and put a light bit of that colored pencil all over that trailer. This obviously, well, at least to me, it looks like one of those travel trailers that is the Airstream. And if I'm being honest, my husband and I would love to have an Airstream. I don't know if any of y'all have one. If you don't, I'll just tell you, those babies are not cheap. And I think the reason for that is they last. So we live here at Redstone Arsenal here in Alabama. And they have one of the Airstreams in one of the museums that they'd pulled out, like it was sitting, I think, in a dump or something. And it was one of the Airstreams that they had used for the astronauts when they came back to kind of get them acclimated again. And I mean, they refurbished a little bit on the inside, but that thing looks pristine. So these things, they definitely last. They're worth their money. We are looking at travel trailers, but we will not be getting an Airstream. Just can't afford one of those. So if you have one, you're a blessed person, and congratulations. And if you don't, you just keep doing your traveling however you're doing it. All right, so I came in with some silver, and I came in with some a metallic. So the colored pencil set that I have is the 120 set, and it does have some metallic in there. And so one of the grays has this like really very subtle metallic, which is really cool. And so if I hold that up in the light a certain way, you'll be able to see just little flecks of shimmer, which is really, really cool. I don't know too many colored pencils that have that. I do want a little bit of pop of color, so I'm bringing in this teal color just in spots. and I'll once again blend that out. Most travel trailers don't have a lot of color, but hey, you do you. All right, so when I'm done with all of my coloring and all of my blending, I am going to fussy cut this out. It's a super simple piece to cut out. I know a lot of you hate fussy cutting. I don't mind it, said that a million times. And this one is just so easy to cut. And all I basically do is keep my scissors where they are, and then I turn my piece instead of my scissors. It just makes it for a little bit less room for error, if that makes any sense. And if I had been thinking, I would have cut around the hitch to the trailer probably first. But anyway, there it is. And now we're going to trim down our sentiment just using my Tim Holtz guillotine trimmer. I'll flip that around and then just line it up with the grids on the trimmer and then trim that out, and it's cut down perfectly. All right, I am going to use some of these fabulous fibers. I'm not going to show you because I already had this piece ready to go, but I do have a video, and I will have it linked down below, of how you can use these fabulous fibers. These are in the store, Brutus Monroe. I basically just took a pile of them, put them between some copy paper, and then I ran that through my laminator, and look what it does. I just think that is so, so cool. So, I mean, I'm going to use these obviously quite a bit more, but I love the look of that, and so, like I said, I'll have that linked down below. But yeah, it's nice, it's shiny, it's different, and I think it's cool. I'll take the panel that I had stenciled and stamped earlier, and I'm going to trim that down in my trimmer. Just cutting on the sides, I want that to go top and bottom. And then I've got my card base, which is some more of that whitewash cardstock that I have cut down to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches and scored at 4.25 inches. I'm going to take just a strip of that charcoal Glitterstock, and I'm going to stick that on that far left-hand side. And then I'm going to take some liquid glue and put that on the back of my stencil piece, and we'll adhere that right down to the card front as well. So you're not going to see any of that whitewash cardstock until you open up your card, but we've got this nice little strip of charcoal on the side. And then I'm kind of trying to figure out where I want to put my fabulous fibers, and that is where I'm going to put them. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the back. It's not going to matter because I'm going to use some foam tape on both my sentiment and my travel trailer. But before I do that, I will trim, just put like a slanted cut in my sentiment. We'll trim off trim down all of the foam tape. We'll peel off all of our release paper, and then we'll adhere our travel trailer down to the front. And then we'll put our sentiment underneath it, trying to line it up a little bit on the glass mat and get it as straight as we can. Wanting those tires to be sort of on the top of that, so it's got something to rest on. Now, to get rid of all the excess pieces that are sticking out, which would be the fibers and that paper, we're going to stick that back in the trimmer, and it'll just easily trim all the excess fiber hairs that are sticking all over the edges, and also the cardstock, and then we'll be ready to go on the inside. So, of course, I have to stamp on the inside, which says travel more, worry less. And I think with all that's going on now, I mean, we can't be doing a lot of traveling, but I hope that when all is said and done, we are getting out and doing some traveling. I'm going to grab some Tropical Tango dye ink by Simon Hurley, and I'll ink up my travel trailer and stamp that right above. I thought that matched nicely with my outside bits. And that's going to finish off our card. So I really do love the way this turned out. I think that stamping through a stencil is a really cool way to make a background. I just think it's neat, and there it is. So if you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye, everybody.